There is a certain level of awareness that most people will never experience in their life. Not because it's hidden, not because they never look for it. We live in a world that's obsessed with action. But the people who make the greatest decisions in everything, in art, in business, war, love, they don't just act, they listen. They have successfully trained themselves to pay attention and react to the microscopic movements that happen inside their body and their minds, long before the action even begins to happen. And that's where real intuition comes from. In my eyes, this is becoming the virtuoso of your own perception. Someone who can navigate all levels of granularity inside themselves during any expedition, whether it's a goal, a relationship, a difficult moment, or a defining decision. Sit with something terrible. Try this the next time you're sort of alone and in quiet, Sit down, close your eyes, and bring to mind something that scares you, something that makes you feel uncomfortable, something you're avoiding. Don't run from it. Just sit with it like you're studying it under a microscope. And now watch what your body does. Does your chest tighten? Do your shoulders rise? Does your breath get shallow? Does your jaw tense? Do you feel heat in your face? Do your thoughts speed up? The body moves before the mind does. It reacts before the words can even form. That is your subconscious communicating with you. And most people never even learn how to speak its language. Now sit with something just beautiful. Do the same thing, but with something delightful, something that brings you joy, anticipation, desire. Watch again. Where does the warmth show up? What relaxes? How does your breathing change? Do you feel expansion instead of contraction? This is what I call calibrating your internal instrument. Most people only live in reaction, but never in observation. They move before they understand why. The virtuoso pauses, not endlessly, just long enough to listen. Learn the signals before acting. You might not realize it, but every single decision you've ever made was preceded by a physical shift inside you. Before the phone call you regretted, before the argument, before sending the message, before quitting, before starting something new, before confessing something personal, there's always a moment, a tiny, tiny window, maybe 1 or 2 seconds, where your subconscious fires a signal. Some people feel tightness, pressure, restlessness, an urge to speak, an urge to run, an urge to distract, an urge to hide, or a sudden emotional spike. Those signals are not random. They are your nervous system telling you what direction you're leaning. But here's the secret. If you learn to withhold action in that small window, you gain authority over your instinct instead of just being dragged by it. You become a professional at reading yourself. And we don't realize how important that is. Most people live on autopilot. They feel, they react. The virtuoso feels, observes, understands, then chooses. That's the difference. Here's why this changes everything. When you start listening to your internal signals, your entire life begins to shift. Your impulse decisions lose power. Your self-awareness sharpens. Your emotional IQ skyrockets. Your confidence grows, not because you become something perfect, but because you finally understand your inner machinery. This is neuroplasticity. When you sit in the space before acting, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are teaching the nervous system, we don't react, we respond. 1 week and 1 month, the brain learns new emotional patterns, new behavioral defaults, new ways of interpreting and kind of dealing with discomfort, new ways of navigating joy. You begin to trust yourself in a way you never have before. Because self-trust doesn't come from always succeeding. It comes from knowing whatever happens, I know I can handle it because I have handled it before. I can handle the outcome. Now, why do most people never actually reach this level? Because stillness feels uncomfortable. Most people run from silence, drown themselves in stimulation, always need music, podcasts, screens, can't sit alone with their own thoughts. If a mind is a room, they never even turn the lights on. They just keep filling it with noise so they don't have to face what might be sitting in the dark. The virtuoso does the opposite. They sit in silence, they study the room, they explore the corners, they learn where their fear lives, where their desire lives, where their anger sleeps, where their ambition breathes. And after a while, they start navigating their inner world the same way a musician navigates their instrument, not randomly, intentionally. Somatic awareness. Somatic awareness refers to knowing what your body is saying before your mind makes up a story. Because the mind lies, it rationalizes, it invents narratives, it twists meaning. It tries to justify what the body had already decided at that point. But the body is brutally honest. It tells you who makes you anxious, who makes you open, what situations drain you, what environments empower you, whether you actually want something, or whether you're forcing yourself, whether a relationship is right, whether a dream is real, whether the direction is authentic. You can fake with the world, you cannot fake with your nervous system. Think of this as training, just like any other kind of training that you might do. If you want to master this, for 1 month, choose one challenge. When someone triggers you, pause. When someone says something emotional, pause. When you feel an urge, pause. Not for 5 minutes, just for 2 to 5 seconds. And in that pause, you ask, what am I feeling physically? What direction is my body trying to push me? Is this action aligned with who I'm trying to become? This 2 to 5 second window can save marriages, careers, friendships, opportunities, because most disasters are not born out of logic. They're born out of unconscious reactions. If you control the window, you control your life. What happens after this month? One day, you'll wake up and realize your impulses don't run you anymore. Your fear doesn't jump first. Your anger doesn't speak before you do. Your decisions are grounded, not reactive. Your subconscious becomes an ally instead of a saboteur. You move like someone who knows themselves deeply. Because you do. This is what I mean by becoming a virtuoso. Not just skilled in your craft, but skilled in yourself. And the people who achieve greatness in any field are never just masters of their own work. They're masters of their internal science. They don't just control their behavior. They understand the micro movements before the behavior even happens. That is where power is. Not at the level of action, but at the level of awareness that precedes action. That is the level that most people will never reach. That said, I am rooting for you. You have an amazing day.